Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast with Charlie Post, ever reliable podcast regular, Ed Quigley, not long now, and Steve Jones on his 200th Matchbook podcast, which is what I'll produce. It can't be 200. No, don't applaud him. It's bollocks. It can't be 200.
I'm going to count out my invoices, and if it's short, I'm going to put a load in.
Yeah, well, there you are. If Matchbook have paid you a total of £200, it will be. It can't be. But welcome along, everyone. We are going to be getting stuck into some flat action this weekend. It's decent stuff. We've got a Group 1. And then Ed Quigley, who hasn't joined us for any of our official jumps previews, is going to be giving his jumps horses to follow. So that's well worth sticking around for at the back end. Like and subscribe. It's well worth doing. I tell you each week why. If you don't know by now, you should have done it if you like our content, but you wouldn't be here if you didn't. So 1:30 we're going to kick off with. We're going to go in at ITV racing order. The 1:30 at Newmarket, which is a Premier Fillies handicap. 4 different horses we're going for. And as it's your 200th podcast, Steve, take it away.
Sorry, where are we?
Great. It's so good. It's on the running order, Steve.
Right.
So, it won't be 201. The first race at Newmarket.
The first race at Newmarket tomorrow, which is the 7th.
Oh my God.
You put up Lady Alara, I think, Steve.
Oh, I did.
There we go. Right.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get my system working.
Oh,
so Lady Ilaria, I think, is got a good chance. It's a 3-year-old. Now, yeah, this horse had a lot of form in group races. They tried back end of last season and early this season. It ran in what used to be called the Fred Darling, the Classic Trial, but clearly not up to that. I thought ran very well at Royal Ascot in the Sandringham. Was on the wrong side that day, but ran really well. Far out ran 100-1 odds, and since then it's been a bit hit and miss. But the win at Ascot a couple of starts ago came off the back of a bit of a break. So I think she's been freshened up, and I think she's gonna run into the autumn as a fresh filly, right, or fresher after that break in mid-season. And I think that's good form. I think she made the running that day, but I don't think she has to. I just think that she's come back a better filly. And to beat Far Too Shy, who's got decent track form at Ascot, I thought was quite good. And she backed it up to some extent last time over this at this track when second to Shining Jewel. And Shining Jewel's got the potential to be a lot better than a handicapper. And I thought that was another solid effort. So I think it's finally clicking for Lady Ilaria. It's finally clicking for me as well. After a bit of a confusing start, I think a Lady Ilaria is overpriced, and I know she's got to take on another potentially well-handicapped Godolphin horse in Whispering Words, but she's certainly got a fair bit of talent, and I think she could easily be step out of handicaps into listed races. So yeah, win in place, Lady Ilaria, who is double figure odds. I think she's around 17.0. I think that there's no way that the only 2 of the runners should be longer in the betting than her. I think she's underestimated.
Yeah, what's her name again?
Lady Alara.
Very good. Got it right that time. Lady Alara.
Yeah,
good.
I had to check.
Yeah. Owen says, I mean, there's possible libel here, but I don't really care because it's a good comment. Even Luke Comer's lawyer couldn't argue that Steve Picture is hanging straight.
It's the wall that is not straight.
Apologies.
It's not the picture.
Apologies, we were a little behind that. I was having slight Wi-Fi issues at a racecourse I'm at, who shall remain nameless. But we're back on, so that's good. I'm with Totnes, who I think has the best form in the race from last time, because I really like the balance play form. Balance play, I think, is very progressive. It didn't work out for balance play at York because the ground was far too quick, but back on an easy surface, it suited. I suppose the slight issue here with this filly is the ground going to be too quick, because it could be on the quick side of good. It could be good to firm, I guess. If it Ultimately, I think that form is really strong from last time. She was progressive bar bumping into balance play, and I'm going to double check the prices, but I'd much rather back Totnes at 9.0 than I would Whispering Words at her current price, which is 3.25. But Ed, you differ.
Yeah, just I just think the really solid one here, Whispering Words, in terms of totally unexposed. Ryan Moore in the Godolphin Silks, nice collector's item as well. And look, there was a bit of egg on the face, wasn't there? It came to last time out when beating a neck, turned over at a short price, but looked totally outpaced around there to me, doing all the best work inside the closing stages, it has to be said. Pulled a long way clear the remainder of the field. Steps up to 10 furlongs for the first time. I can only see that helping. The way in which she came home on that occasion with a bit of a wet sail suggests to me 10 furlongs well within a range. There's a few in here where I think you kind of know the time of day with them in regards to official rating, or I don't think they've got as much up their sleeve. Perhaps Whispering Words has, but I'd be very surprised if Whispering Words was not better than an 88 rated filly for Godolphin going up to 10 furlongs for the first time. And I think she'll, unoriginal in many regards, but I think she'll just get the job done.
No worries. Charlie, the fourth different filly we're putting up. Now, he was dishing out a load of abuse. He was dishing out a load of abuse to Steve. What's he done? Jesus. And then he's muted himself. Caption that.
Yeah. Oh, dear. It's all going wrong this morning. I'll start again.
Good job. This podcast is free.
Yeah. We should rehearse this, really, to be honest. Yeah. Morning Poem winning place for me. She won a handicap on the July course last year and then backed that up with a good second behind Voodoo Queen. Finished the year off with being beat a couple of lengths in a Salisbury listed race and hasn't been seen for a long time, and then made her comeback in September at Yarmouth in another listed contest. And she travelled up really well before flattening out. Cheek pieces are enlisted, but I can't believe they've kept rolling with this Kingman filly if they don't think there's a bit more to come and manoeuvrability off that mark of 89. I mean, hence why they've tried her in listed company twice. So, yeah, Morning Poem, win and place for me, and I'm going to re-mute myself.
Good. Not a moment too soon. The 150 at Ascot is up next. 5 furlongs. Emiratiana is back in, I was going to say more feasible company. I mean, he's very capable, but he's 3.25 over the 5. Corker is 5.0. Nymphadora is 6.5. 7.5 and bigger the rest. I'm the only no bet here, and the rest of you are all with Emiratiana. Who's pretty strong on Emirati? Anyone? Hands? Charlie, I'm going to come back to you then because you were the one that didn't flinch.
Yeah, Emirati, and I just think clear form pick, been plying its trade all last year in Group 1s, including at the Breeders' Cup, second to Caravel. I mean, he started back this year a little bit steady, but really solid seconds the last twice behind Lezu and Comanche Falls, and he's way clear. I think he's way clear on ratings than the majority of these, and I just think it looks a very, very good opportunity for this horse to get back on the winning trail. So it's unoriginal. I wouldn't say like I'm falling over to back him, but I think he's just by far the most likely winner of this.
Steve, what do you want to add?
Yeah, his last 3 starts over 5 furlongs. 2 of them had been in the Nunthorpe, where he's run really well. He was second, and then back in last year he was third, and before that was in the Breeders' Cup. So dropping to this level, surely he should win. But and it's not really my kind of horse. He's a bit too short, but I just couldn't see how he wasn't going to win this.
Hasn't won for over 2 years, Ed?
Yeah, that is the worry. I mean, interesting, they are coming back to 5, isn't it? The general consensus is as you get older, you get a bit slower. But actually looking back at that York run on the Knavesmire, the horse showed plenty of dash, I thought. Was leading at the furlong pole and then seemed to wilt. So maybe, the drop back to 5. The horse's class in terms of the remainder of the field. This is a listed race in kind of inverted commas name only. If you compare this to the York running, he's got over half a stone in hand of most of the field, in fact, nearly a stone in hand over a few of these. It's kind of now or never, Emiratiano. I actually think the 5 will probably suit him.
Okay, that's a team steam with Emiratiano. I'm not laying him, I'm just not with, and he confused the race a little bit for me. The 205 is the sales race, 150 grand Tassels October Auction Stakes. Zulu Chief is 2.0. Woodhay Wonder, who won here last time, is 6.0. Not here, won last time. Grey is 12.0. Midnight Runner, 13.0. Bigger prices thereafter. I'm most interested, Steve, in your selection. Ed, you're sitting this one out. I'm not surprised. I nearly did. But Steve, take it away with Habrady.
Yeah, Habrady is run twice so far and hasn't won or been placed, but I think is very interesting. These sales races can throw up strange results sometimes, and I wouldn't want to be with Zulu Chief at 2.0 in a field like this when they're going to go hard. Some of these horses are just going to think, we'll just blast out and try our luck. And that's going to put it up to Zulu Chief, who's made the running on those last 2 wins. And I think Habrady is interesting. He's running 2 quite good Newmarket maidens for George Bowie. And he's looked green both times. He was slowly away the first time, and then next time probably wasn't ideally placed, but again, when under pressure, just showed a bit of inexperience and then was short of room and things didn't go right. I think this horse is a fair bit better and has now joined Jane Chapel-Hyam, who's a trainer I really like. And I think there's a lot of dead wood in this race, as you would expect for these sales races where trainers and owners are just taking a punt. But this one, Habrady, I can't really say it. I don't know how. Why don't they put another vowel in there somewhere and make it easier? But I think at 51.0, we can take a bit of a punt at this, and especially with Zulu Chief taking so much out of the market. So it is the horse tamed by Jane Chapel-Hyam, ridden by Kieran Fallon, that I'm going to call Habrady.
I don't mind Habrady. I think that's right. Good morning from Salou, says Peter. Hello. I don't know where that is. I thought it was the French for hello, but there we are. Hi, Peter. Welcome along. I am going with Drama, who was well beaten by Woodhay Wonder last time on the July course. We went off at the same sort of price. It was a weird day that day because it was bucketing it down and it got very loose on top. And I'm looking for excuses, but I was impressed with what Drama had achieved prior to that. Woodhay Wonder was ridden a little bit colder, and this horse Drama didn't really see it out. But I think he's overpriced based upon that defeat when it could have just been that the ground actually wasn't ideal, although it was officially quick. You know what it's like when it buckets it down on quick ground, and he just looked like his wheels were spinning a bit. But I was a bit more impressed with what he'd achieved prior. And I know the person that rode him on debut was quite impressed with him, so I thought he'd fare better than that. I'm just going to chance him once more. I didn't want to play at the top of the market. 17.0 Drama for me. Charlie?
Yeah, I think we're all sort of on the same page about Zulu Chief taking a massive chunk of the market and therefore it offering up a few opportunities. And I came down with Midnight Runner, win and place for Michael Dodds. He had a really quiet introduction at Beverley, was dropped out the back, never really got into it, made a little bit of late headway, and then stepped forward significantly on that and won quite tidily at Thirsk next time out. And I actually thought he was valued for a little bit more than that, as in he was carried right by the runner-up as he was challenging and had to work to get round him. And I thought was won a length and a half, but was really readily on top at the line. And he's related to a couple of horses that ended up with marks in around the 90s as 2-year-olds. So he's bred to be precocious. I think, like Steve says, if they go hard, he won over 7 the last day. So I think that could suit him. And he looked like a horse with a profile that has ability, will have a future moving forward. And there's probably quite a few in these that might not. And I'm just against the one at the top of the market. So I was looking for something to take him on with. And yeah, Midnight Runner for me, win and place.
Moving on to the Jim Barry Cumberland Lodge Stakes. 3 different horses going up here. There are 2 shouts for the horse at the top of the betting, Al Arsi, who sits in there pretty currently at 2.8. Isra is 5.0. Al Kareem is 5.5. Then we're into the bigger prices. Claymore, I mentioned that, who's 11.0 because I'm having a speculative punt on this horse, who's a previous course winner, had a quiet season so far. But Jane Chapel-Hyam's horses started off pretty quietly this year. The horse that he beat at the Royal Meeting last year, the Queen's horse, is a bit of a quirky character. So maybe there's not too much to read into that form. He's had a long time off the track, but I was quite impressed with what he did last year. With a few patiently ridden horses in the field, I'm hoping he might just crack on with it and give us a good run for our money. 11.0 in a field of dead 8. I would rather take win and place than the 2.8 about Al Arsi. For all Ed, I think Al Arsi will probably win as long as the ground isn't too quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be on board with Al Arsi. Obviously, good course form here as well. And obviously the Leopardstown race got the Tweeterati going a little bit last time out. I think if Jim Crowley could have his time again, he gave Al Arsi an awful lot to do on his first start over a mile and a half. I think was returned to mile and a half. I think it was a little bit kind of, well, we've got the rest of the field covered, but didn't have Adelaide River covered. And in the end, stayed on really strongly inside the closing stages, beaten half a length. And I think they kind of connections feel that was one that got away. I don't think there'll be any exaggerated weighted tactics here. And I just think, as you say, in this field, Al Arsi is the class act. He's got the course form in the book. If you were going to be nitpicky, perhaps the ground. He has won on ground, officially good deferment places before. So as long as it doesn't turn into an absolute runway, that would be a slight issue. But I do like him. I don't think the trip's an issue. I just think they overcooked the weighted tactics last time out. So yeah, Al Arsi for me.
Charlie.
Having to really think about this mute button now. I don't know why today. It was absolutely fine last week. Al Kareem for me. I can see Al Arsi for sure, but I do think he likes to be ridden with exaggerated weight and tactics. I think when Jim wanted him at Haydock on his previous run, he really left it very late then. But I can definitely, like Tom says, I can see him in winning this. But I don't know. I'm just wary of being with him at a short price around even money. So Al Kareem for me, he was a group winning 3-year-old. I think he got reading that he got sick coming back from Dubai in March, taking a while to get over that. But he showed a really resolute attitude to get back by blue stocking at Chester last time. I'd be surprised if there isn't more to come from him. The concern might be if the ground ends up quickening up a lot, but then maybe he won't turn up if that's the case. So it's just for all that. I just don't trust Al Arsi to be backing him at a short price. And Al Kareem looks very likable, has a really good attitude, and you'd surely think he's going to can progress forward from his belated return to action at Chester last time.
Steve, you're with the favourite?
Yeah, moderately. Another horse that it's not really my race, this thing, but I thought Al Arsi, it's got the gears to take this out. It's pretty unexposed at a mile and a half, and it probably faces a weaker contest than last time. So yeah, I'll maybe double up the first two. I don't know.
Okay. That's a couple of shouts for Al Arsi. The Redcar 2-year-old trophy is not filling any of us with too much confidence. So we've basically got 3 no bets, even though Charlie's put Dragon Leader and Ed's put Weight on the Ground. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come to you, Charlie, just to get some substance on the race. You just wouldn't back this horse, no?
I mean, I suppose it depends whether you're keen on backing odds-on shots. I mean, I do think he's by far the most, he's obviously by far the most likely winner of this. The market suggests that, but I think probably the ground was against him slightly the last day when he finished second at Doncaster. He should be back on a more sound surface at Redcar. He's a clear form pick. Killian, who's second in the market, I was with the last day, but I don't really trust him. He hasn't seemingly gone on. He seems to need a lot to go for him, whereas Dragon Leader seems very, very straightforward. And then beyond that, Richard Fahey's awesome for ammo. I mean, on ratings, is going to really struggle to get closer to the favourite. So I suppose 4 to 6 or whatever he is, 1.85 or something like that. There may be worse bets if that's your thing, Tom. What do you think?
So I'll be honest. I had looked at the race pre-Dex, and I didn't realise that Love Billy Boy had blinkers on. So I'm going to chance him. I think the favourite will win, but Love Billy Boy at 21.0, I'm just going to have a speculative go at. He'll be on the speed, and I quite like the headgear on. Fahy's got, I think, a decent record in the super sprint with horses with yeah, he's a Richard Hannon horse, so that doesn't stand up. Fuck, can we get that out? Fuck me. But I was taken with him at Musselburgh when he won on debut. I backed him at Sandown, subsequently finished last, and then it hasn't really worked out for him. But I think he was absolutely hammered in the betting, and it was a good sprint at Musselburgh. It was one of those Sunday Series races. So I'm going to chance him at 21.0, Love Billy Boy. But yeah, I think one thing I will say is I don't think the draw will play as big a part as it can do in this, because it's not very well contested, this race. There's not many things in it. Killian I've been massively disappointed with. And Love Billy Boy, I think there's too much in the betting between him and Flaccianello for the victory of Flaccianello last time. So I will go him win place at 21.0. You're waiting on the ground for who in particular, Ed, or no one?
Just to be a Torball Michael Fish style. I mean, we're looking at ground like the runway at Heathrow Airport everywhere. Other than Redcar are forecasting up to 11 millimeters of rain, which you say seems, most courses get the barbecues out. Now, just Will Buick's quotes after the run on Dragon Leader last time out said, look, we've ran a cracker, but perhaps the soft ground just blunted our speed. And look, this on paper does look easier than last time out, but it's just something to bear in mind. If they did get the upper end of that weather forecast, it got a bit gluey. I wouldn't want to be taking, 1.7 about something in that kind of muddling affair. So just something to bear in mind. If the rains do miss and it turns into a turn of foot spectacle, I don't really see who's going to live with Dragon Leader. So yeah, fence sitting, but till I've got all the information, I wouldn't want to get involved.
All right. Well, that's better than just spouting misinformation like I did. The 3 o'clock at Ascot is the John Guest Racing Ben Goff Stakes over 6 furlongs. Comanche Falls 4.33, Enough 6.0, Garrus is 7.5, Dark Trooper 8.0, Juan Lepan 8.0, bigger prices thereafter. 4 different horses for good money. Steve, first of all.
Yeah, Garrus for me, who's got a really good record at this level. It's a Group 3 and generally runs in mixes between Group 1s, 2s and 3s. But when this horse runs in Group 3s, which he's done how many times? 8 times in his career. He's won 3 of them and he's been runner-up in 4 of the others, and he was only beaten a length and a half in the other. So this is kind of his level for Garrus, and he's a horse that comes off the back of what wasn't the worst run in the world in the Sprint Cup, when he showed plenty of pace. He put it up to the leaders and was hampered when he was on the retreat. So I think he's still in form. Before that, he's running sound races in France in Group 3s behind the likes of Millstream. So yeah, I think at this level he's got a good chance, and I think he's about 7.0, something like that, is he?
Yes, indeed. That's Garrus. That's one shout for Garrus. Ed, who are you with?
Win and place on the filly here, bottom of the cards. Pink Crystal. Thought it was a bit of a muddling affair. It truth be told, obviously she gets a filly's allowance and she's just improving. William Haggis, Tom Marcon teaming up. She was rated £25 lower last year. She won a listed race at Ayr last time out. She's had a crack in a Group 3 before, just came up short. But as I said, she just seems to be blossoming. And I just wonder at a kind of double figure price whether, as I say, in a race with I thought it was a little bit of a head scratcher, she could easily get in the mix here. So yeah, Pink Crystal, last time out listed winner, I thought was overpriced.
Charlie?
Comanche falls for me at the top of the market. I think, he's a magic horse. He's been, very ultra consistent sprint handicapper. And I mean, he was 3rd in this race last year, but I would argue, from the mid-season onwards, he's really taken his form to another level. And he's won a couple of listed races, a Group 3, ran well at the Curragh, when possibly, I think the chap from Conor Beasley was the ground that gone slightly against him. And yeah, I just think, like I say, that this horse is at 6 is raising his game further. I mean, he's not weighted to beat Garrus on their firm form earlier on in the season at Newmarket, but I would argue this horse I think has progressed again since then. And so, in spite of the fact that the weights are possibly against him with that rival, I think the curve that he's on will manage to make up for that deficit.
And for me, I think there's a few in here who you could back. The ground's probably not going to be right for Vadream. I thought Jumbie was interesting at a big price, but most solid of them is Dark Trooper for me at 8.0, who's really progressive. I love progressive Ascot winning handicappers going up into Pat and Company. It's happened before on the straight course. It's happened before. They've gone and won Group 1s from progressing through handicaps. And Safi Osborne, I know, is obviously going to Newmarket to ride Random Harvest in a Group 1. But as far as I did a little interview with her the other day, and she was adamant that this horse would go very, very well. And, she'd love to have been riding him. He should get the setup fine. So the stalls are the stand side. He's in 9. He wants to be patiently ridden. I just hope he gets an out. But I thought at 8.0 had a very fair chance. Probably be my most solid bet on the day, but win and place. Moving on to the Sun Chariot. Inspiral heads the betting. I'll get prices up in a sec. I didn't think ahead and do that. But I'm a no bet. Steve's a no bet. I will be having a lay in the race. But first of all, Charlie, back to you.
Yeah, I just came down with Inspiral. I think, the ground should be in her favour. She's a Group 1 performer and a Group 1 performer against the Colts as well. And I just took her to be better than the rest of these, if I'm honest, as in it wouldn't be something that I'd be falling over myself to go and back heavily at the price. But, the French filly coming over is progressing, but won a 10 furlong Group 1 the last day on very slow ground. I can't see it being that on Saturday at Newmarket. And beyond that, I just didn't see horses that I think are capable of beating Inspiral if she's on song. And we know at Goodwood and the Sussex, the ground was completely against her. Frankie was very easy on her, and then she came out and won that Group 1 at Deauville. I just think she's way better than these, and therefore anything around 2.0 is relatively value, I'd have said, against this field.
She's 2.0. Marquise de Sevigné is 5.0. Meditate is 8.5. 11.0 Heredia. Bigger prices thereafter. Ed?
Yeah, right. Two things. Yeah, so I'm with Meditate because I think everything is right for Meditate. Hasn't quite been the case this season. Meditate needs fast ground and has been chasing the backside of Tahira all season. 3 occasions and just simply not as good as that filly. On faster ground, I think she's going to get a lot closer to Inspiral. I'm generally with you here, Tom. I'm against Inspiral. She just gets me very nervous if you were going to look to play at short prices. And look, you do take Connections quotes with a pinch of salt at times, don't you? But I was just going through the kind of trainers' comments or representative comments in the aftermath every time she's been beaten, and there's a list longer of excuses longer than that Steve makes up for when he gets bowled around the legs for a golden duck on a Saturday afternoon. It's ridiculous. She when she was beaten at 1-7 in the Falmouth, the ground was too quick and the race came too soon. When she was last of 5 in the Sussex Stakes, the ground was too soft. But then they rolled her out only 10 days later to win at Deauville in a Group 1. So that race clearly didn't come too soon. And she dropped out the back of the television in the QE2 last year for a filly who's clearly, when it's all going well, is absolutely brilliant. There's been a lot of times in there where things have just gone totally amiss. And so I'd just be very nervous about her, given that she's just not bomb-proof for all that she is magic on her day. And I just think if, for whatever reason, she runs a race like she did in the Falmouth or in the QE2 last year, something just goes amiss, I think everything is right for Meditate. Ryan Moore's on, Aidan O'Brien, ground crucially. It's saying 25 degrees Newmarket, and it's already good to firm there now. So no excuses with Meditate, and I think she can really serve it up to Inspiral.
All right, and I'll come back to that in the lay section. moving on to the handicap at Ascot over 7 furlongs, the Howden Challenge Cup, 7.0 Baradar, Potmaster 7.0, Fresh is 8.0, Kinalt is 9.0, bigger prices thereafter. We got any agreement here? No, unsurprisingly, I guess. Steve, you sat out the last race, so come in here with Hickory at 13.0.
Yeah, I just think Hickory's overpriced considering the form that he's got with some of the others, and he's right down the bottom of the weight, so he's got the scope to progress a little bit more. And he seems to like Ascot over this 7 furlong straight course, because his last 2 starts, he was only beaten half a length by Barador in the International Stakes on King George Day. When he travels really well, this horse, and this kind of straight 7 that's stiff, it gives him the opportunity to come in through it from the rear. And then last time in another hot race, he finished third behind Quinault and Potmaster, where ridden a little bit differently, maybe a little bit too prominently because the pace wasn't as strong. The ground was also quick that day, and I think although he handles it, it has been on the soft side, and I don't think it's going to dry out to be quite as quick as it was last time. And I just think that he's very competitive with the likes of Barador and Quinault. So why is he such a big price?
I'm with Atrium, who's had a slightly disappointing season, bar the win a couple of starts ago, but he's a course and distance winner. He likes the straight track here, and he should get pace to aim at. He's a chunky double-figure price when I wanted to play at the lower down the market anyway. I can totally see the case for... Well, I can't really see the case for Potmaster. Wonder if a smaller field suits him. I thought Quinault, off the back of his defeat of him last time, should probably be a bit shorter than him. But I still think Quinault's going to be up against it, trying to dominate here for all he did last time. And Atrium could have the perfect setup with a yard, particularly in slightly better nick now than when he was running earlier on this season. So Atrium at a price. Charlie?
Yeah, I came down with Escobar. I think he's 17.0, won this last year I think he won off 107 last year, and he's down to, he's off a mark of 94 now, which suggests that his form has been in a bit of decline, but he's been running okay at times in big field handicaps. He teed up for this race with a run in the Air Gold Cup, where he was drawn on the wing where it didn't really happen. He ran a similar sort of race the year before taking this out, and I just think he's just too well handicapped to ignore. You know, I think he should get everything that he wants in this race. Strong pace to aim at. You know, Dave O'Meara, everyone knows is very, very good in these big field handicaps, and he's mob-handed again. But Neil Callan, I think, also rides this horse for the first time, which again I'm seeing as a positive. Maybe the quirky customer having a different rider on can eke some improvement, and they reach for the cheap pieces for the first time as well. So it's a chancy one, but yeah, Escobar for me, win and place.
And Ed, another course lover.
Yeah, Fresh has had a bit of a disappointing season in many respects, kind of mirrors Escobar in that sense. So he's either gone at the game or he's very well handicapped. I suppose we're going to find out on the afternoon, but as you say, off 99, of course, is £3 lower than the last successful. Over the 7 at Ascot, 2 wins, 2 placed efforts from the 7 starts. So pretty solid record at the track. First time regards to ground, and as I say, it's a bit of a last chance saloon, I think, with Fresh. If off 99, over 7 at Ascot, he's not managing to land a blow, then I don't know where they'll go with him. So, yeah, one last roll of the dice with Fresh.
All right, that's our race previews done. We now come to Matchbook Zero Long Shot. The market for Matchbook Zero goes live at 10 a.m. every day. They are win-only bets, but if you have a fancy who you're happy to back win only, it's well worth taking advantage of, because you're very likely to be getting best odds, not just because it's an exchange, but also because there's zero margin and zero commission at Matchbook Zero. So head over there if you haven't done already. Mine is Atrium in the aforementioned 335. Steve?
Haberdi in the 205 in Newmarket, the sales race.
Charlie?
Yeah, I just chucked Jumbie in the 3 o'clock at Ascot. He's a really solid group performer. He was drawn on the wrong side at York. The ground went against him at Doncaster. I mean, if it stays decent, he's a really consistent group performer, and just at a price, I think he's 17.0. I'll chuck him up as my long shot.
Okay, and Ed.
Blue Missile, the Royal Runner in the 240 at Newmarket. William Haggis, Kieran Fallon teaming up, steps up to 1.5 miles for the first time. I think that filly will be really suited by a middle distance and could be a bit of a big price.
Lays, Steve and Charlie both against Zulu Chief.
Yeah, I just think that everything has gone right for Zulu Chief the last couple of starts. And although been very impressive, won't get his own way in front this time. Gina Mangan, who's a good rider, can't claim her £3. And just stacking up that there's no way this horse should be 2.0. And I don't expect him to go off this price. So I'd lay him early because I think he's going to drift.
Charlie?
Yeah, and there's been plenty of, in theory, superior horses with the ratings get turned over in this race in the last 10 years. And like Steve says, you know, this horse come up through handicap ranks, won impressively the last end, and rating is derived because of that rather than dominating, you know, level weights races or anything. So I think there's, and the likelihood of other pace pressure, I just think at the price too short in a competitive contest.
And I'm going to lay in Spiral, who is just very inconsistent. I mean, she will probably win. I think Marquise de Sevilla is a fair animal, and I think what worries me about both of them is that they're patiently ridden horses, and I don't know whether this is going to suit them ideally. I think the ground for in France is always quicker than they have it listed anyway. So I'm not too worried about that for the French filly, but I just worry about her run style a bit. But Inspired she's just ever so inconsistent. And I thought at even money at 2.0, she was probably worth taking on. Although she might get away with there being a little bit of pace on if Meditate goes forward, etc. But 2.0, I'm happy to be against in Spiral, given that inconsistency. Best bets then. We like to go for one in different races, but we haven't. So there you go. We're all steaming into the Ben Goff. Dark Trooper for me, Steve.
Karas for me.
Charlie.
Comanche Falls for me.
Ed.
130 Newmarket, Whispering Words.
Good man, 130 Newmarket. And then Ed, the floor is yours, sir, for your jumps, horses to follow. This should take what, we got an hour?
About an hour. I'm just seeing out the corner of my eye. Pakistan are 42 for 3 against Holland. They're in all sorts of carnage. Yeah, and I thought England played badly.
They were 20s on to win that match.
Yeah, they're 42 for 3 after 10 overs. So, yeah.
They'll probably be 20s on to beat England the way they played yesterday.
Ed, take it away.
Yeah, I've gone for just two jumpers to follow because I couldn't make the jump show the other day. So I picked both hurdlers. Garland Marceau would be my main selection in regards to thinking forward to the Mares Hurdle. Now, the default Mares Hurdle favourite, I know we're 6 months away, but I'm just looking at the overall Mares Hurdle scene. Lossiemouth taking up a lot of the market. She is a class act. She won the Triumph Hurdle, etc., etc., etc. But Garland Marceau went to France, didn't she? French champion hurdle, the back end of the season. And I thought really impressed going up to 2.5 for the first time. Now, general consensus is Lossiemouth is the better filly, if you like. But I do think when presented with a bigger test of stamina, Garland Marceau, followed her around all over the place last season. I think will really serve it up to her. I think she's going to really blossom over this intermediate trip. Whereas with Lossiemouth, who does have a lot of speed, it can be quite keen. I wouldn't be totally convinced she would thrive. If they do campaign her over that 2.5 mile intermediate, the natural mare's route, if you like. So I think Garland Marceau, the market's kind of overlooking her a little bit. It can be Willie Mullins, bingo, can't it? But he's pretty much gone on record himself and said we're going for the Mares Hurdle, working backwards. But I think she's a little bit dismissed in the market. I think she's going to have a lot more solid claims at 2.5 than perhaps some of those others who are speed horses. And the form of that French champion hurdle is worked out pretty well. She absolutely thumped Zarek the Brave. and that horse came out and won the Galway Hurdle. So, yeah, I think she's got pretty good form, and I think she's top of the tree for me, shall we say, in regards to the 2.5 mile scene next season. And then I've gone for one more, a little bit of a dark horse in inverted commas, Springwell Bay for the John Joe O'Neill team. That was a horse, actually, myself and Matt Toombs both put up at Aintree in that grade 1 and failed to fire. Was actually travelling pretty well until a mistake about 4 or 5 out, and then kind of did plug on again past beaten runners. But by all accounts, it sounds as though Springwell Bay is staying hurdling. I think there's a big pop in this horse when everything clicks in the jumping department, over kind of 2.5 miles to begin with. And I know I'm going to get the people asking me to put me in a straitjacket, but I don't think it's the absolute daftest selection on planet Earth to make up into a stayers hurdle horse. You remember going back about a decade or so ago, there was more of that who kind of progressed through the handicap ranks. Funny enough, a one-off 137 before going further forward. Well, Springwell Bay is going to start the season off 137. There's plenty of stamina in the pedigree, closely related to Dedigow. Remember, was a bit of a soft ground stayer in Ireland a few years ago as well, and carries those famous colours of obviously of Blackjack Ketchum. So that's going to bring back a few memories of 3 miles and Cheltenham, etc. So Springwell Bay, I maintain, is a very well handicapped horse. Now, it could be the case they plot handicaps all season and look for something along those lines. But I wouldn't be shocked if that horse ends up significantly better than a 137 animal. And I do like look at Gala Marceau in the mare's scene. I think she's underrated. And just finally on the jumps, if you haven't seen Sunday's Uttoxeter card, I haven't got the depths come through it at the time of recording, but the 2 mile novice chase there, myself and Charlie were talking about this off air, looks an absolute belter. I believe I like to move it's making his chase debut. Obviously last season's Kingwell and Greatwood Hurdle winner. Pembroke's in there, rare addition, possibly a runner, and our supreme horse Tom. Chasing Fire making his chase debut as well for the Ollie Murphy team. Sean Bowen in the plate. So soft ground there, 2 miles Uttoxeter. That looks a well above average renewal in my view.
Oh, just a week after the Arc. Look at that. Back in the jumps. And Ed, thanks for those. Our next Jumps Horses to Follow podcast will take place on Tuesday at 11 a.m. and will feature Matt Toombs, will feature Declan Ricks, and we'll feature one other person. I've completely forgotten.
You'll have to ask Matt about Springwell Bay on that show. See what he thinks. He may think the opposite to me, but I know he's a horse who's been burning up his tracker for some time. So.
The other person is... Oh, it is you, Steve. That was not... I swear that was not on purpose.
I'll have to watch back what Ed said because I can't remember any jumps horses at this moment in time.
I know. We were on the one the other day and I was like, who won the Arkle? Anyway, good. Right. Charlie, thank you very much. Ed, thank you. Steve Jones, great stuff. Head to insiders.matchbook.com for a recap of all the best bets. They will be up later. Have a top weekend. Bye-bye.